Courtney, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can we start out and just this is our first time meeting. Can you tell us and tell myself a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So my name is Courtney Miller. I've been a Disney travel agent for, a little over 2 years now. Got into it and have just been full throttle since I started.
Oh, that's awesome. That is, I mean, it's one of those jobs that people I think they take for granted because you can plan your own trip. And we've
hmm
done it in the past. And once we started using a travel agent, this is it's free, you know, why not find somebody who knows more about it than we do?
Yeah.
And as people are going to hear coming up, there's some definite reasons why it's an advantage to have somebody like you to, help out. So let me just start out with when I asked you to come on the show, there was nothing crazy breaking had started, but in the last couple of days, big updates to everybody's favorite Genie Plus. So you said that you've already had a training on that, and
Yeah.
that to me that is one great reason to have a travel agent because they are sitting through trainings and learning about this new stuff, so you don't have to get there and guess, what you're doing. And so, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with this?
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I'm actually pumped for it. Because previously with Genie Plus, there's no way to really educate your clients too much until day of. I wish they would have had like a simulator where I could say to my guests, okay, let's try for your 7 a.m. What does Genie Plus look like? And so I would give my clients the best I could, but until you're actually in there and in the system and playing, it is hard to know. So Disney has announced that they're actually rebranding Genie Plus. So Genie Plus will be no more. And that's because they wanted to simplify the process. Because right now you have Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes. And if you don't know what they are, it can be kind of confusing. And so they're simplifying it to be Lightning Lanes individual ride and Lightning Lanes multi-pass, which that's going to be the new Genie Plus part. And a lot of it sounds like they're coming back to how the old Fast Pass system was, except now you pay for it, of course.
Of course.
Um, and there's still a lot that's going on. They just made this announcement yesterday. I just got my training yesterday. So there's still a lot of moving pieces. It's not going to be available until July, the end of July. I think it's the 24th. So we still have about a month to get our feet wet, kind of understand how the process is going to work. What I like about it, though, is there is no more waking up early on your trip to book Genie Plus. Your first three are already going to be done before you step foot on property. And I love that. It takes a lot of the stress out of it for my clients. It allows people to just have more of a plan. And I am a planner. And so if you want to see me unravel at 7 a.m. when I'm in my hotel room trying to get my Genie Plus, that's the best way to see me unravel real quick. But what I love is there's another big perk now to staying on property. For those people who are staying on a Disney property hotel, you're going to be able to book yours 7 days in advance, which that's huge. 7 days in advance, you're going to know here are the three not Genie Plus, multi-pass ones that I'm going to be able to use. So you'll know you're going to get Jungle Cruise, you're going to get I don't know, some of the other rides, Big Thunder Mountain.
Peter Pan was on there. I saw. Is that correct? The
Which
Peter
one?
Peter Pan.
Yeah, Peter Pan's
I
part of
believe
it.
that was because that's a every time we go, that ride is always an hour and a half. And for me, I've done it. It's great, but little kids
Not,
always want to ride that ride, and I'm like, guys, it's
it's
90
an hour and a
degrees in an hour and a half, and just think of all we could do. So that in itself, say we're gonna knock this out and walk on. So
Yeah. Actually, my big tip for that one, I tell my clients all the time, that's the one you rope drop first.
nice, nice.
Everybody goes to Seven Dwarfs, you go to Peter Pan. I have been able to do 5 or 6 rides in that first hour, knocking them out left and right. And then I'll wait 35 minutes in the evening for Seven Dwarfs. But
Right.
that's one of my favorite tips. For those who are staying off property, you still get to plan ahead. You're going to be able to access it 3 days before. So you're still walking into the park. You know where you're going to go. Some of the things that stood out to me that they're going to have to work through and explain a little bit more. You cannot make your three reservations beforehand for different parks. So if you're
Hmm.
you're going to have to start in one park and do all three. But then after year 3 you're done, you can go to another park. You can book another Lightning Lane multi-pass. But one of the things that was weird, and there's already a lot of questions about it, so I'm sure we're going to see, the way it was worded, they said after you have used your first multi-pass, then you can book a next one. So I don't know if that means you can always have 3 booked, because I believe when fast passes were around, it was you had to use all 3 before you could book a 4th. So
I
I'm not sure how that's going to work.
I think that's right. It used to be that way, and then you could book them throughout the day but as you used them, you could use the next one, but you couldn't just stock them up. So I don't know. It's
I don't know.
always changing and exciting. So
Yeah.
just another reason to have someone on top of it for you.
Yeah, and I do appreciate it because when they announced this a few years ago, there was a lot of uncertainty. There were a lot of concerns. And Disney even came out last year and told all their travel agents, we know this is not a love system. We know this is causing a lot of stress. We're aware, we're looking to fix it. So I really appreciate that they heard the concerns and they made an adjustment. So I'm excited to see how this is going to work out. I think it will be great that I can offer that as a benefit to my clients that, hey, I'm going to grab those 7 for you or the 3 for you 7 days beforehand. So you don't have to worry about it. I do their dining reservations 60 days before. Now I'm going to be able to do this. It just benefits what other things I can give my clients.
Well, I think that's great because as a father of little ones, when you're setting that alarm early on Disney you're already dragging them to rope drop, and they're going to have the best day ever, but they don't understand that first thing in the morning, and heaven forbid they wake up at 7 and you don't talk to daddy. He's on his phone. He's buying. You missed it. You got my attention, and now the lightning lanes are gone. So I love
Right.
that that's coming back.
Me too. I think it'll be great.
The internet was a buzz with all that. So that's actually where I came across you. It turns out Instagram has a really great Disney community. So
Mm-hmm.
they have all these follow events and things like that. And I've seen a lot of travel agents, and your content really stood out. I really enjoyed that. And that's the reason I had you on here to talk about it.
Thanks.
So I noticed that you recently, it says on your website, you're a Disneyland specialist. Is that
Yes.
right? And
Yeah,
you just got back from a back-to-back trip.
I did.
Now, I have never been to Disneyland. What can you give us some of the Disneyland versus Disney World stuff that you noticed?
Okay. So I definitely wanted to do this trip back to back. So we started in Disneyland. We did 4 days in the park. We stayed at 3 different hotels so I could try a multitude. Because
Wow.
if you don't know Disneyland, it is literally in the middle of a city and it is surrounded by hotels. And I would say 75% of my clients don't stay at the 3 resorts that Disneyland offers. They stay just outside the park, and it's really easy to get around. I mean, we stayed at one on the south side and we were 3/4 of a mile away. So that's all you had to walk in the morning. We stayed in the north end and we were, I think, half a mile away on that one. So it wasn't bad. It was easy to walk. And Disney does not offer transportation in Disneyland like they do Disney World. It is just very different. So, and then we also stayed at the Grand Californian.
Ooh.
So I wanted to try Disney. Yeah, it was awesome. So here is what I thought was really interesting. I think Disneyland is a lot more like Walt Disney had actually envisioned. It is not about the hustle and the bustle. It's a lot more laid back. You don't need to have a planning strategy to conquer the park. And actually, the very first time I went, it was nerve-wracking to me because I was like, why is there not more information on where we need to start, where we end? It just wasn't available because you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
It was magical to walk down Main Street and just see characters everywhere. Mickey's walking down, high-fiving and hugging people. I actually got to sit for a few minutes with coffee and have Dale come over and sit with me. And then he saw this one kid just kind of doing his own little thing. He went over, took him, brought him over, sat him with us, like just having special interaction like that you don't really get at Disney World anymore. It was very much like an old type of Disney. I will say the one thing I was really surprised, they are not set up for rain like Walt Disney World is.
Oh yeah.
All the queues are outside, and it did rain. The one day we were there, it was absolutely dead. There was just nobody in the park. Everything was a walk-on.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice though, right?
it was nice, but like there was no place to sit that was
Oh,
covered. There was several of the rides shut down. Like they just don't get rain very often. So it was kind of, well, if it rains, we'll just whatever.
yeah,
So
that's funny. That's classic theme park, I guess. And then they
yeah.
said, what can we make better? And then they moved to Florida and they said, it's gonna rain and it's gonna come down and we're gonna have to get inside somewhere. So
Yes. Yes. So it was a really cool trip to see. There are some attractions that are exactly the same. There are some that have the same name, but they are different. Um, so I will say there's definitely some rides at Disneyland that are better than Disney World. Same with snacks. They have some better snacks than we do. It's just they're different, which I appreciate that you can go to a different park and have a different experience.
mhm.
Um, but their characters were way better than Disney World.
I love that the rides are different because we watch a lot of Disney YouTube and you see the different ones, the even like the space mountains in different countries and things like that and go, I mean, it makes you want to go because you think, well, I could go to Orlando and see this, or I could, fly to Paris and see the same thing. When everything else, it seems like in our country, at least, you go to. I've only been to California one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get to. It was real sad because I got off the plane and had to go to work, but I saw the bus to Disneyland, and I'd rather go there now that I'm here. But
Right,
but once you're
right.
there, it's like the restaurants are the same, the Target's the same, the hotels are the same. But it's nice that Disney is like, we're going to keep it, a bit different and
Yeah.
give you that regional thing. So you're more of a Disneyland person, it sounds like. It sounds like you like them both, but if you had to
I,
pick,
I do like them both. And I kind of recommend to clients with young children, if you can find decent flights out to Disneyland, I think that's better for young kids. The parks are smaller. There's two parks and they're right across from each other. So you can zip in and out easy. It's just a little easier, I would think, for younger kids. They have special areas that are just, I mean, they're made just for little ones, and they are fun. I will say, the one nighttime show blows ours away. World of Color
okay.
is fantastic, but there's no place to sit down.
Oh,
So it's interesting, and it's an outdoor water show with lasers and fire and fireworks. Like it is awesome. But we had to stand there for an hour before the show started, and then you have to stand for, I think it's a 30-minute show.
oh.
So, well, with little ones, that's
Mhm.
not going to be easy to do. So, yeah, it's just really different. Disney World, if you're more of a planner, I think that one is, there's a lot to do there. There's a lot to conquer. But it definitely, you got to have more of a plan if you're going to go to Disney World.
Well, what give me some of the ride comparisons then of what you liked because I'm sure they're all great, but which one do you think really are there a few that stood out?
So, so when we went to Disneyland, I made two of my good friends come with me.
Oh,
And I told them we're doing every single ride because we have to compare it to Disney World to Disneyland. And I made them get on the Mickey's Wheel of Death. Have you heard of this ride?
is that the Ferris wheel that's
Yes.
terrifying looking? Well,
I actually don't know what the actual name is, but we call it Mickey's Wheel of Death. And I told them, we don't like Ferris wheels. We're getting in one of these carts that slide. And it was probably the worst 5 minutes of our life. We screamed. Well, I screamed. I had one friend who gets motion sickness, so she is closing her eyes. We took a video of it because it was so hysterical. And she's saying the whole time, she goes, I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's good. My other friend's laughing. I'm screaming, but we have to try it. Their Incredicoaster is
mhm.
fantastic. I mean, it kind of gives you an old boardwalk vibe of just, but you can see the park beautifully from there. And then I will say, so it is compared, their Cars Land has a ride that's very similar to Disney World, which is Test Track.
Mhm.
So Test Track, you get in a car, you get to design your car and everything, and you take off. Great. It's a great ride. And actually, right now, they're redoing some things with it. And Cars Land actually has a very similar ride. You don't get to design the car, I think, but you do get in car. You go through Cars Land, you get to see some of your favorite characters, and then you race another car. And
Oh,
so It's a lot of fun. And I will just say their theming around Cars Land was just incredible. So, very much like the movie, you kind of feel like you step into a whole new world.
Now, I know Cars is one of those that people either they love it or hate it. They sing to that movie, but I've heard nothing but great things about Cars Land. People
Yeah.
just say it's incredible. You don't have to like the movie to like that place. That
Yeah.
it's the one thing, like one of the things they've got over Orlando. So,
Hmm.
well, what then what do you like about Disney World? Is since you got to go back to back, is it just a did you go to Disneyland first and then
Yeah.
is that how so you get to see the original, kind of take it easy, and then you hit the
Then we hit
crazy.
the ground running.
Yeah,
For me, I like Disney World because there is a method to the madness, and I know that method. And so to me, it's almost like conquering something. So I have a plan. My poor friends know we are opening that park and we are closing down that park, and there are no rest in between.
that's right.
Um,
That's for the
and
week.
right. So we sleep when we're dead. We're fine. And so it's almost like a challenge to me. Like, how many rides can we get? And I'm huge on rope drop. And so I'll be the ridiculous person who's going to be at the front of that line. I like to tell my clients, like, this is the hotel you should stay in because then you can walk to Epcot and you can walk to Hollywood Studios and conquer both. And so my poor friends, they are just used to me being a little ridiculous, but it has proven to be a big win for us. A lot of times at Disney World, when they tell you you have early entry if you stay at the Disney World resorts, and it's supposed to be about a half hour. However, most of the times I find if their rides are up and running, they're letting you in earlier. I've gotten into Hollywood Studios an hour before it was going to open to the general public.
Nice.
That's huge because people don't realize that. So they stay in their hotel. You know, if it opens 8:30, they're coming at 8:30. And I tell all my clients, absolutely not. You need to be on that first bus or the first Skyliner, and you got to be in that front line because I can conquer so much.
They
But I
say,
will
"Oh,
say,
we're on
hmm,
vac." They say, "Ooh, we're on vacation." Like, no, get up.
no,
If you want to
you're doing
go
it wrong.
rest, go to the beach. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is not restful. But I do recommend everybody takes a rest day. Just in
Oh
between
yeah.
your trips, take a rest day. You're gonna need it. But the technology behind Walt Disney World, oh gosh, Guardians of the Galaxy. That ride is just phenomenal. And you can't get that at Disneyland right now. Um, Animal Kingdom, the Avatar world. I mean, it's just, I tell everybody, stay till dark and walk through
Mm-hmm.
Avatar Land. It is just incredible. There's things I love about Disney World. I mean, they really have my heart. I just absolutely love that park. I love the nighttime shows. Um, Also, just found that cast members were friendlier at Walt Disney
Oh,
World, more happy to help. I don't know if I just encountered a few people at Disneyland who just weren't having their best day, but to me, that makes a difference too. So I do love Disney World. If I had to choose between the two, I mean, it would be a coin toss between which I loved more. But I think there's things you don't want something that's so much. Disneyland's a great place to start. If you want to go full blown, then Disney World's your park.
so yeah. Well, that I mean, that's really great. And like I said, I'm only a Disney World person. It's all I've ever been. We're Midwest people, so it's a lot easier to get to Florida. It's
Yeah.
drivable, especially when you have a family and you don't want to fly your whole crew out. So
Yep.
now you mentioned something that they have different snacks now. Since I am not a Disneyland person, but I am a big snack person there. What do they got out in Disneyland that I'm missing out on?
Okay, so in Disneyland, they have a macaroon. It is, I'm not kidding you, it is huge. It's a Mickey shaped raspberry macaroon, and it was amazing. I mean, just perfect. But I found out you have to pre order that in the morning on the mobile app, or it sells out almost every day.
Oh my goodness. This yeah, well, is it like Gideon's where you want to get in
Yeah,
there and get it before the crap? Man, that's crazy.
isn't it?
Now, now that what is so it sounds like you've done quite a bit and you've only been doing this 2 years and you're all over it. I love it.
Yes,
Do you have a favorite ride that you have to do? That either
Guardians.
it is Guardian number one?
Guardians is number one. And I will tell you, the Guardians over at Disneyland is number two.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
is it different? Or
It's
is it
very different. Guardians at Disneyland, so Guardians at Disney World is a roller coaster that you can't really explain because when I tell people your cart can go 360, they immediately think, oh, I'm going to be sick. But it's not like that at all. Like it just turns and it's just great. Disneyland's Guardian of the Galaxy is their old like Tower of Terror.
Oh yes. Okay, I know what you're
Right, but it's not scary.
Mhm.
They blast music the whole time, and I actually think you go up and down a lot more on that ride than you do Tower of Terror. But I mean, we had the best time ever on that. That's a great ride.
Now let me ask you something because it seems a little hypocritical that that's fun, but a Ferris wheel, your whole crew is terrified on.
Yeah, Ferris wheels are trap deaths. They're just no.
It is really funny because we have a theme park close to us, and you can see the Ferris wheel from the water park. We're mostly just water park people, and my kids absolutely not a Ferris wheel, not to save their lives. They just as soon be shot than to get on a Ferris wheel. But I've talked at least one of them on to Tower of Terror and Guardians, so like, but not a Ferris wheel. So I don't know what it is about.
You're enclosed in a building, and I don't know. I don't know. I always envision like that cart's coming off the Ferris wheel, and you're gonna plummet to your. I don't know why. I'm sure it's very secure.
Well, yeah, that's why it's safer to fly than it is to drive, but you just feel out of control when you're up in the air, I guess. I don't
Right.
know. Well, what is your history with Disney? Were you always a Disney person, or is this just a
No,
post-pandemic
it's
thing?
actually really funny. I mean, I remember taking a trip when I was in second grade. I remember taking another trip when I was in high school. And I actually had grandparents who lived in Florida for a time. And so a lot of times when we'd visit them, we'd go one day to the park.
Mhm.
So
It's not enough.
no,
No.
but I didn't know that. Like it
Mhm.
was just like, okay, this is fun. This is cool. I didn't even have Minnie or Mickey ears until I was an adult, but about 6 years ago, my husband and I, we had two kiddos at the time, and we were taking a trip to Florida with family. And we were there, and I just said, it'd be really fun if we could go to Magic Kingdom for a day. And he agreed. So we made it happen. We got up really early one morning and drove from Sarasota into Orlando. Um, I didn't know anything. And we still had a fun day. But I was a little shocked at how much I did not know. Like they still had free fast passes. We didn't use one because
Oh,
we
well,
didn't know how,
right.
right? We didn't know it was a evening because we went in October. We didn't know that they were shutting the park down at 7 o'clock because they were having Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Right.
Like we just didn't know. And one of the other things was we didn't know what many of the attractions were because Disney kind of hides them. Like you have to get in line. And my absolute favorite, one of my favorite things to do is at Magic Kingdom, we go to Mickey's Fill Her Magic. It is one of my favorites. We passed it because we didn't know what it was, and my kids would have loved it. So after that trip, I mean, we had a good time, and I have to remind myself when people go, and you always know who the newbies are because they stop and get a map and they stop and look at it, and you're like, oh, you just want to be like, come follow me for the day. I will help you. And after that trip, I just was like, if we go again, I want to know what I need to know. And so we had just had my third son, and we started talking about we need to plan a trip. But at the time, we were a one-income family, and so I knew I was really going to have to save money. So I started doing some research on what is this going to cost us. And my sister was actually planning a trip as well. So we kind of worked together. I saved for 3 years and I watched every single blog, every single podcast I could listen to and get my hands on. I wanted to know everything I could about Disney. And what started off as we're going to stay off site because it's cheaper and just go for a few days turned into the trip of a lifetime. We went for 10 days. We stayed in two different deluxe resorts because I did my research
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up saving us so much money learning how to do Disney. We went to every park 2 days. So we did 8 park days and took our time because we had the time to do that. We didn't have to rush. And we did all but 2 rides. And it's because those 2 rides were closed.
Mm.
So I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing. And so from that trip, we came home. We had such a wonderful time. We made great memories. And I started working with some friends who were like, hey, we're going. I want some tips. Help me out. And I was so excited for their trip. And one of them said to me, you really should be a travel agent. Okay, let's look into that. And so I started doing research on that and was like, I think I could do this and I think I would enjoy it and I think I would be good at it. My friends will tell you I'm a little extreme on my planning. Anytime they're like, hey, let's do a girls trip, I will have a spreadsheet with every single penny drawn out for a budget. And they call me the mom of the group, fine by me, because they're always good because I do my research. And it was from there that I kind of started this. So I researched a travel agency I wanted to be a part of. I just started researching how to help clients and did everything I could. And it has really blossomed into the business I have now.
I mean, that's really amazing. And I think the thing you said about it that really matters is that you enjoy it.
Yes.
Because I mean, you're a delight to talk to. We've never met before this thing, but you are very energetic and excited. And I think that a lot of people miss out on if you don't necessarily work for Disney, you work for a travel agency, but as the travel agent, you're like the gatekeeper to the park. You're almost like cast member zero that they come across and they want that kind of energy. Where when my wife and I, we were just dating and we went, she planned one over the phone, old school, talked to Disney, talked to their operator and did. And I mean, she's kind of a planner, but she doesn't love it. But she's like, we can figure this out, get this
Yeah.
all taken care of. And then friends of mine later, when we got married, one of them was a Disney planner. We're like, hey, can you just take care of this? And I mean, it's night and day difference when you don't have to do all the things because you could. That's one thing. Like anybody can plan their own trip, but the trip itself is fun. The planning the trip, that's a good way to ruin a trip. So, and how much does it cost for you to do
Zero.
it? It's free, and people
Zero.
they don't get it. I don't. I think first and foremost on everybody's advertising should be this doesn't cost you an extra dime. And I think, like you said, if you're saving and saving and saving, people are like, well, I can't, put a Disney planner because what's that going to cost me on top? But it's free and it's a value at twice the price of free.
Yeah.
It's no, it's like Disney planning. I mean, it is the last several trips we've had, we've always had someone do it because, we could do it, but yuck. But if you're having a good time doing it, that's amazing because our friends that did it, they loved it. That's, that was their, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write this out. And we actually went with a friend of ours the last time we went as a family and we saw everything. And we got home and we've never been so tired. But we, in a week, we did, I mean, stuff that I've never done in my whole life just because we were just hitting it and she knew the right times. And we're looking at her watch like these steps. It's probably going to break. Like we're just thing after thing, but she knew the itinerary
Yeah.
and like you said, you speaking after my own heart. You're waking up. We're rope dropping. We're getting there, and we're staying until it closes because we're making the most of this money. We're making the most of this trip, and I have two girls, and one of them is like me, and one of them is like my wife. And my wife and the little one go home or go back to the hotel and take a nap midday. They just can't hang. I know the face. That's what I can't. I'm like, honey, I can't. She's like, do you want me to be pleasant the rest of the night? Then we're gonna go home and take a break. And I said, that's fine. But me and my oldest, hit it till from, open it up and then shut it down. That's the way to go. So, all right. So when you were at Disney World, did you stay for the shows at night? I guess because you were,
Yeah.
now I know Pandora, that Animal Kingdom closes early because just the nature of what it is, the animals and stuff. But Pandora at night, very amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Magic Kingdom, a great show at night.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're there for one day, are you a Magic Kingdom fireworks or are you a Magic Kingdom ride all the rides while everybody's watching the fireworks person? Because it's a tough call.
It's a tough call. And one of the times I was there, we didn't get on Peter Pan just yet. And so I'm not the type of person who's camping out for the perfect spot on fireworks because there's a trick to that too. And I think we had 15 minutes till the show and I told my friend, let's go real quick. There was no line whatsoever. So we jumped on Peter Pan and we were back in time for fireworks. And here is a trick I tell clients all the time. Do not camp out because you're going to see all the cast members are flagging down an open path so people can walk through.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes till showtime, they close the path up towards the castle off and they bring people up. I always get right in front of the castle and I don't wait. And I guarantee that makes those people who've been waiting an hour or two so mad. I get it. I'd be mad too, but I'm taking advantage of this. So the only time I ever waited, I took a group of senior citizen ladies to Disney World and I had 6 scooters and found out that they actually have a roped off area for the scooters. And so we went an hour early just so we could park the scooters. And then we went shopping and rode rides until it was time for showtime. So I tell people, I love to see the fireworks. I love to see Tink fly. That is just so magical for me. And every time I see it, I try to find her before they put the light on. And I never see her. I never see her stand out. She does a really good job. I appreciate her.
Well, I appreciate her too because I've seen like a POV from up there, and there's no way you put me on that rope to go down.
No.
Now, real quick, that is a tip I've not heard. What can you walk me through real quick? What the tip is? The 10-minute before.
Yeah, so 10, 15 minutes before.
This is before the Magic Kingdom fireworks.
Yes,
Okay.
right in the smack dab middle, there is a path that cast members are flagging people off. You can't step on there because they have to have a walkway for people to get in and out. And then the last several times I've been there, I don't know if it's because they've hit such a capacity that they have so many people, but I have had cast members as I'm walking past say, we have spots up here, and they walk me right up to the front of the castle. So they open up this path for people to stand there and watch. And it must be because it's a few minutes till show and people aren't going to be walking at that point anyways. I don't know. But the past few times I've done that, I got right in.
It's pretty amazing. And if nothing else, just be pleasant to the cast members because you're having a great day, but they are crowd controlling, thousands and thousands of people trying to corral them in there. And,
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's hot. People are tired. Probably not the most pleasant, the whole group. So, just a nice smile.
I don't get why people are so rude to cast members. They're the ones who create the magic. And
Right.
I'm always looking for ways. My middle son is a charmer.
Mm-hmm.
He learned real quick that if he gave cast members compliments, there came rewards with that. We got taken to the front of the line the one time. He got stickers another. He just tell people, "You're beautiful. You look fantastic today." And I was like, "Oh man." But I wasn't going to tell him not to because we were getting some perks out of that. But they work very hard. And I know they encounter rude people all the time. So I always try to be pleasant. Ask them where they're from. That's one of my favorite is their name tag has where they're from. And that starts great conversation.
Yeah, I always look at that because in college we had the opportunity to have that Disney program, and if I had one regret, it's not doing that. When the first year they said you'll work as like a cashier and all that stuff, just to get used to the thing. And the second year you really get to take off, and I was like, I don't really want to spend my summer working cash. But then, well, that would have been great, but
yeah,
it seems like the most fun job, even though it's still a job.
Yeah.
So I would say I've always been, you get to the fireworks, it's a lot, but you get that rest right at the end before you go. But this last trip, we'd all seen the fireworks. We said, you know what, let's make our round about the outside of the park. And, almost everything is a walk on to like 5 to 10 minutes. So like Pirates, Jungle Cruise was pretty low. Haunted Mansion, everything that, you might not catch during the day. Once people start going towards the front, you go towards the back. And it's a tip that I had never heard of before either, because I always just assume, well, you go to the fireworks because they're there. But that's what 90% of the people are thinking. So,
well, and a lot of people think that as soon as the fireworks are done, the park closes. And that's not true. And I tell people all the time, just because the park closes at 10, get in line at 9:59. They will let you ride.
Right.
And that's a great one too. You need one of those long line ones. That's a great time to get that done.
And I think, if I had one thing about Disney is that you really do have to have a planner. And it's weird because we went a few times as a child or when I was younger with my parents, and, we had a good time. You got to see everything. For the most part, it was pre-fast pass, mid 90s, that kind of stuff. And then my parents came back 3 or 4 years ago, and the whole thing had changed. It
Yeah.
was almost like a different world. They were not ready for the change. So you really, you know, it's it's more crowded, but there's lots more to do. There's more, but there's so much that you need. You need someone like yourself to say, hey, you want to get the most of it. You can have a great time without, but you really need someone to say, this is not a leisurely stroll
Yeah.
through, it's not what it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great time, but
Yes.
you need a little guidance, I think. So in California, you liked the raspberry macaroon.
Yes.
What is your favorite Orlando snack then?
The one they just got rid of, which I'm
What's
Sleepy Hollow at Magic Kingdom. They had the Belgian waffle with the Nutella and the fruit on.
that? What do you mean they got rid of that?
They just announced that they're redoing the menu. So now it's a Mickey shaped waffle
All
with
right.
fruit. And
Hmm.
I know. So I'm like, well, now I have to go try it. But it looks like they came out with a few additional options with the waffles. So I need to go try
Yeah.
them all. So,
Hey, Universal, this is your opportunity. Pick up the Nutella waffle because that is
right?
that is what when we started going again as an adult with our kids, that's what our friends said. That's the that's the thing you have to try. I was like, of all the food there, a waffle with they're like, no, for real. It's the most amazing thing, and it really is. And they only had it in that one small thing, and it was,
Yeah.
you had to get a line to get that waffle. So
Yes.
what
You
a
always had to wait for it. But I mean, it was that Nutella. I mean, it is not a clean
oh
treat.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
you're going to need wipes and a bathroom afterwards, but it was worth it. So good.
Oh yeah, that I mean that I would say that might be my favorite treat. I had no idea that's gone, but
Yeah,
oh,
I literally
heartbreaking.
yesterday they announced that they're revamping that menu. So I'm gonna have to go try.
They said, "Here's your fast pass, but we're taking your waffle away."
We'll give
So
you this happy news with this downer.
yeah, they were really, really hedging their bets with them. Maybe they brought back the fast pass just because they knew the waffle was going to have such blowback. So, all right, well, I did a little research, on you, of course, before. You also, is it pronounced Punta Cana? What is?
Anna?
Yes. Tell me,
Yeah.
tell me about that. It is not a Disney resort and retreat, but it looks amazing.
It is not. And I actually got to go to Punta Cana, which is in the Dominican Republic. Um, I got to go probably about 30 years ago. The island had just started doing all-inclusive resorts, and my parents, my parents have always been really big on traveling, helping us see the world, and really appreciate that because I think they've instilled that travel bug in me. And so they have just developed like crazy, and it has just become my go-to when we want to go somewhere. We're going to Punta Cana. We went there for our honeymoon. My husband and I have been back a few times since. The people are what make that so special. They are the kindest, most genuine people I've ever met. One of the rules they have in Punta Cana that I really appreciate is your hotel resort cannot be any bigger than your tallest palm tree.
Oh, nice. I like
They
that.
they want everything to kind of be hidden. And I appreciate that because it really is a beautiful country. We love all inclusive. So if you want to do the opposite of Disney, an
Mm-hmm.
all inclusive is the best bet. And what that means is when I price out an all inclusive for my clients, this price is going to include your flights. It's going to include your transportation to and from your hotel. It's going to include your hotel, and it's also going to include all your food and beverages, including alcohol at the hotel. So you literally could pay one price, stay at the hotel the whole time, which for the most part, that's what we do. We don't even go on excursions. They have so much at these resorts that, I mean, you can stay as busy as you want all day or relax as much as you want all day. Um, and they have a dedicated team at just about every resort. Their job is to keep people busy with options.
Mm-hmm.
I've done everything from yoga to volleyball to dance lessons, pickleball. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. And so I've gone to Cancun, I've gone to Riviera Maya, but I just really love Punta Cana. It's my favorite place to go. Anytime we're looking for a quick trip, let's go there.
Oh yeah, for people like you said, if you've never been to an all inclusive, we went to Jamaica on our honeymoon to one, and it's strange because you literally don't need money, and you show up and you eat dinner and then you just leave,
Yes,
and
it's so weird.
people aren't allowed to take tips, and you're just walking around like you're the king, and it's very strange, but it's
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
It takes about a day and a half to get really used to, out of the American way of doing things or the typical way of doing things, but it's
It's
nice.
nice.
It
It's
is the opposite of this. It's very relaxing. Everything is just taken care of. So
nice. Hmm.
that is really great. Well, I had another thing that just came up right before we started. Are you a flyer or a driver when you go? Because you're in Ohio. So when
Yes,
you go to California, I imagine that's a flight because
that's
that's
a
a lot.
flight.
Do you fly often to Orlando, or are you a driver?
I fly often to Orlando. I usually can find good deals. So
Okay,
I will fly over drive almost every day.
that's the way to go. We are I got to go to Orlando for a business thing earlier this year, and I flew and I got a good deal, and it turned out to be a bad deal because the airline I missed a day of it because the flight something
Yeah,
was broken on the plane, and they're like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I'm like, "Well, the
yeah.
ticket was cheaper than the gas to drive to Florida, so I get it." But it came up because we've always been drivers, just because my family they're a little cheap, and they've instilled that with me, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's
Nope.
about 11 or 12 hours to Orlando. It's not from where we are. It's nothing you can't do in a day if you really wanted
Right.
to. But Midwestern people, Bucky's. Now, I don't know who all out here needs to hear this or knows this, but there is nothing more relatable to people in this part of the country all of a sudden than this Bucky's gas station. So, can you tell us what you like about Bucky's? Because it's very exciting that
It,
it was brought up.
there's nothing like it. And I love that they're literally just in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You'll just you'll start seeing signs for it 150 miles beforehand that there's a Buc-ee's coming up and you get so excited. Yes, there you go. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so exciting, but anytime we get to go. Um, but it is, I try to explain it to people. They have hundreds of gas pumps. They have the cleanest bathrooms, and they're all like little closets. Like if you need some time in there, that's a great place to go. And there's got to be like 50 of them in each one. Like there's a ton. And the food though, their brisket and I did live in Texas for a year and a half, and I had the world's best brisket. And Bucky's is number one, cheaper, and number two, better than some of those great
Oh,
places in Texas. I know.
big
But I mean,
words.
you can get yourself this huge brisket sandwich and just devour it. Oh, yeah, their food's amazing.
Now, what I've someone recently posted on Instagram, what would you want to do if you were a Disney person? What job would you have? And I've always thought Imagineer sounds fun. So I'll throw this out there just to put if Bucky's opened up a theme park, I think it would be wildly successful because it's almost the Disney of truck stops. It's
Yeah,
wild. And we've only been, let's see, the first time I'd ever even heard of it was 2022.
yeah.
And it was our first big family trip post pandemic. We'd been in our house, we'd been masked up close by, and we said we're going to Disney for spring break, which was
Mhm.
already, this was already putting our toe into some really, really busy waters to have not seen too many people for a year and a half. But we went to Bucky's, and oh boy, just shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And we're like, this place is madness on a Saturday on spring break. We went
Mhm.
back during the week, and it's much more reasonable. You got your times that are good, but everything you said was like the bathrooms are just. And if you stop to go to a gas station, they are really hit and miss depending on where you are. But at Bucky's, they start seeing those billboards, and you're like, I can hold it for another 120 miles because this place is going to be so
Worth it.
clean and nice. And the food, everything we've had is just amazing. And I
Yes.
just, but you can't describe it to people.
No,
And you want them to
no.
show up on a good day because we took our neighbors and they said this is stupid, we're never coming back, because we ended up there on like a bad time. I think it was like a Sunday afternoon on the way to Florida, and it was like people after church, were driving to that, like you say, it's in the middle of nowhere. It is its own stop. Sometimes on the highway there's
Yeah.
nothing but a Bucky's, and it's backed up for miles. And 100 gas pumps and I mean, it's really
Yeah.
crazy. But it's so good. And I would have never, it's one of the few things that have lived up to all the hype that we heard from it. But
Yeah. It's funny. My very first time, long story short, me and a few of my girlfriends were going down to the Smoky Mountains. Our husbands had left a few days before us and they were backpacking through the Smokies. So we were going down and getting a cabin for the weekend and joining our husbands. Well, our husbands had a little bit of trouble and they needed to come off the trail early. So we were planning on leaving at like 7 a.m. one morning and driving down for the day, but we ended up having to leave at like 3 in the morning. And so we got to Buc-ee's, I want to say at 6 a.m.
nice.
There was nobody. And I was in awe. So I was just walking around my coffee. I'm looking at all these cute t-shirts they have, and I'm trying to decide what home decor I need. And then I was going through a section going, I don't even know if I packed one of these. I need this. And, you just kind of, but I got to enjoy it with nobody there,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that was a blessing because then I knew where everything was. And then when I came back with my family, it was kind of, zoop, 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 get what we need. Let's go.
So
So
you
yeah,
rope drop Bucky's. That's the way to do. And you,
I am
it's
a
kind of
real
like,
dedicated person.
well, it's got a little bit of that Disney flavor where you get there and like you said, well, I definitely need three of these shirts
Yeah.
and then this beaver pool float and all this stuff. And then you get home and you're, why did I buy all these things? They seem so great in the moment. And now I'm home and all of my home decor has this character on it that's,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I do enjoy what you have in your background here. This is some classy Disney art. I
Thank
really
you.
this well, I'm pointing to it on my computer like you can see it. The one right behind you, the peach, it looks
Yeah,
pinkish peach color.
that one.
That yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like I've
Thank
not seen
you.
a lot of stuff like that. So
Thank you. I found these prints on Etsy and worked with the girl and told her my office is pink and black and gold. And so she helped me put these together. And then I one of my best friends is like an interior decorator. And so she kind of came in and redid my whole office for me. But this was kind of my Christmas present to myself this year was, okay, now that I'm getting serious into this business, I want an office where I can really enjoy it. So yeah, and that's the Aldi one. Did you
okay,
see Aldi a few weeks ago had like a major Disney sale?
no,
Oh, they they announced it and I went and who doesn't need a Mickey pillow, right? I mean, it's
my
kind of
dogs would
sad.
say we would love that, love to get a hold of something like that. So all right, well I had one more thing for you
Yeah.
and it is from your Instagram. I do like when so many people just talk about Disney and they don't really get to know who you are through social media. And I tell you, it's social. It's not all just advertising what you do because, like, if I was going to work with you and have a vacation, I want somebody who I could talk to, And like I said, you're great. Like I would have no problem saying I want to sit down with her and plan out a
Oh,
vacation. It's a lot of fun. So you do a lot of workout stuff on there, and
I do.
I'm like, this is also great. I come from actually, I do a lot of work in the fitness field for people who run gyms and own businesses in that way. And I tell them in the past, I'm like, if you put together some kind of training program, like a 6-week thing to get ready for theme parks for Disney stuff, I think would probably be a good start because people they get there and go, oh no, I have
Oh yeah.
done nothing but sit in an office and I'm not ready for 25,000 steps today. And
No.
I'm eating about 12,000 calories today. And my body is just rebelling. But like you say, take a break in the middle or take a rest day. Some people just need that rest day because their body are, what are we doing, guys? What?
They hurt.
I
They
mean,
they have no idea.
well, and I'll get back to it in a second. That is another tip that I just learned recently. And you co-signed on it when you said that we started going 2 days in the park and then a rest day and then 2 days in the park because breaking up your week, still staying at the resort, doing all the Disney stuff that you don't get to, maybe go to Disney Springs, go to the pool, have a good time like that. But 4 days in a row of opening to closing is not for the faint of heart, especially, if you've got children,
Yeah.
they're having the time of their lives. And by Thursday, I don't want any more magic. I want,
You're gonna see a new side of your children.
you're like, get up right now. We're getting to the park. We're not going to be able to do everything. So take that day off if possible. But you had a good post on there. And I would like to know your favorite 90s themed workout inspiration song because that, again, it's almost, I mean, so many similarities to me. I'm just so excited. But what do you like to listen to?
Ah, TLC, no scrubs. That one will always, and it was actually funny. Today, it was leg day, and I was struggling. I was like, why is today so hard? What is going on? And then I realized I didn't have my music on. So I instantly went to
Oh,
TLC No Scrubs and turned that up. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got this.
that's really great. And see that's the kind of personality. I'm like, this is great. Like, you know, this is who. If anybody's watching who wants to be a Disney planner, who is this is who you should be. This is
Yeah.
great. So, well,
And
is there
we
any?
work out to get, I mean, we work out to get in shape for Disney and to eat all the snacks
Right.
because all the snacks, you have to try all the snacks.
I'm
They're
having a
so,
cheat week. I'm having a cheat week, but I'm prepping beforehand. So
but
because
I'm
if you
burning every single calorie.
right, and if you go in cold, it's a
Uh,
bad. No, you gotta ease. You gotta be ready for it, and then be ready at the back
yes,
end to get back into it. So
yes.
thank you so much. This has
Thank
been my
you.
pleasure to have you on here. Where can people find you if they wanted to get a hold of you to book their best vacation ever?
Okay, so the easiest way is emailing me, and that is at ccaatravel@gmail.com. Or you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook as well as Instagram as Courtney's Crazy Amazing Adventures. But you can also find my website. Just Google Courtney's Crazy Amazing Adventures, and you'll find me all over.
And I will put all the links in the show notes in the description. Anything you need to do to find her, because, like I said, she's the best. So that's it for this week, and I hope everybody has a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.